people of the East and the West, what Baba is doing in this age. అంటే మస్తుల గురించి what Baba is doing in this age is unprecedented and unparalleled. If any of the past avatars had done such work, history has not recorded it. అంటే మనకు మన ఇంతకుముందు అవతార ప్రీవియస్ అవతార్స్ histories and Ramayana, these all there is very little about the work did with the must God intoxicated people. So that what Bhauji says, and here how we have got this Wayfarer's book. Bhauji has written that Baba was near Dehradun. There is a place called Niranjanpur. Baba stayed there during his mast work. It was in 1946 ending. So, how the wayfarers have come, Bauji writes. In Niranjanpur, Don voiced his thoughts to Baba. Your work with the Masts is so important, fascinating, and significant. Yet there is no record of it. Till then, 1946, Baba's work with Masts started in 1941, even before also. But from 1941, his Mast work was on a very extensive manner. He did totally, Baba devoted his time, energy, money, everything for Mast work. And so it was more than 5 years this mast work was being done, and mast ashrams were also established. So Don says to Baba, your work with the mast is so important, fascinating, and significant, yet there is no record of it. If an account were compiled and written down, it would be most useful and interesting to future generations. This Don came with this proposal in Niranjanpur near Dehradun in 1946 December. So Baba conveyed that he would think about it. And that is the reason why Bauji says we don't know what happened during previous avataric ages because it is not recorded. And so on that day, Dawn in 1946 broached the issue that it will be better if the work with the must is recorded. So Baba said, I will think over. And then after 2 days, Baba was still in Niranjanpur, and Baba used to be in the main bungalow, and Mandli in the servants' quarters always. So gardener's hut. Don, Neelu, and Vishnu were resting there in gardener's hut. So Baba went there and called Don and said, your suggestion about a book on Masts is excellent. So Baba took 2 days to comment like this and said, it is excellent, your thought to put it in the form of a book. Why don't you write it? Baba said, because it came from him, Don. Baba said, why don't you write it? Don had not expected this. Don, he made only suggestion, but he never expected that Baba would ask him to write. So Don says, me? I am no writer. I have never written any book. I am not fit to write it. That was what Don said. But Baba, when Baba proposed it, it should happen. So Baba said, assured him, you are the only proper person to write. Because Baba knew it, and Baba said, yes, even Bhauji also to write anything or to write these ghazals and bhajans also. Baba was goading him, but he says, Baba, I don't know, I can't write. Baba ultimately said, you will write better than Tulsi. So here also Baba said, assured Don that you are the only proper person to write it. I will help you. Thus Don was encouraged, and the book The Wayfarers was born. So this is the uh, history how Don was made to write Wayfarers. It was his suggestion, and Baba made him to write it. Baba began giving him explanations. So, because it was his own work, Baba gave explanations and details whenever he detailing the various types of mass and explaining about them in general. Nobody knows except Sadgurus or the avatar who is a must and on what plane of consciousness that must is. Only Baba would know. But Don wrote studiously and with devoted labor and attention to detail. So we know how this Wayfarers is written and must contacts with day-wise contact and uh, according listing out the places where Baba contacted must when and what happened between them as per the details given by Baba and what they observed, and also by Dul and all those who are assisting Baba in Mast work. So Don wrote he took a lot of trouble and collaborating with those who went on the Mast tours with Baba. Years later, Don related about the work, about the book. Um, so he says, Don says, so I did it because Baba asked me to do it. I did it, the Wayfarers. My aim being only to try to make a faithful record of Baba's work with Mas and others. So he took every detail and he says he made a faithful record, not exaggerated or not concocted, but he says faithful record of Baba's work with Mas and others. His external and visible work. What what work Baba did with Mas, we know only what happened externally. That is, his real inner work, he would just not tell us about. His inner work with them, who knows? Only Baba knew what was his inner work with them. And there are instances. In 1945, Baba was in Hyderabad doing must work. He contacted more than 70 musts there in Hyderabad, and he had a place near Khairatabad railway station. A hall was rented and musts were kept there. Baba used to work with them, and that is the reason maybe because of that, Baba said, I like Hyderabad the best, and its spiritual and material uh, status is Baba liked it, and that is the reason why Baba was there for 6 months during that ending period of Second World War in Hyderabad. And when Mandli, they were observing Baba's movements, his work with Mas, and the events in the World War. So they compared, and once they mentioned that Baba, what the work you are doing with Mas, it is connected with the events and with in Second World War, and this is directly related to the events in the Second World War. Baba said, okay, that may be one of the reasons, but it is not the sole reason. It is foolish to say that I was doing it only for this World War Two. Baba says, my work with the mass, my fasting, my seclusion, all these, not for any um, outward thing. I have to change the consciousness of the world. I have to make people God minded because enough has been done to make them food minded. So that was the one significance Baba explained to the Mandali in Hyderabad about his must work. And he used them to reduce his um, load of universal suffering and work. So, and he used to enjoy also in Mahabaleshwar. There was a mast ashram, and it was headed by Baidul. Baidul was manager of that ashram. Once, what happened? Kaka brought a mast one day. Without asking Baidul's permission, he took a gunny sack um, from out of the stock and used for the must whom he brought. So it was almost a small incident, but it gave rise to a heated quarrel between Kaka and Baidul. So, overhearing them argue, Baba called them. Baba used to um, use these incidents to teach them a lesson and also to enjoy. And Baba used to say, this humor. Humor reduces his quantum of his universal suffering. So Baba called them both Kaka and Baidul and said, um, what was the ruckus was about? Baba asked them. And Baidul says, I am the manager of the Mast Ashram, and Kaka, without asking me, took a sack, gunny sack. Baba just said, Kaka, why did you do this? Usually Baba would encourage both to quarrel to such an extent, and then he will um, um, put a full stop by asking them to embrace and forget and forgive. That was his way of dealing with the matters. So Baba asked Kaka also, why did you do this? It was lying unused, Baba, Kaka said. Baidul interrupted. It was not lying about. Kaka stole it for his must. He is very careful with his must, but not with mine. So see how it the dispute was. My must and your must. Baidul said, here Kaka cares for his must, but not for my must. So that is because your musts are not musts, but mad persons. Kaka taunted. Kaka said, "You bring mas," because Baidul was known to be very perfect in identifying mas. So here Kaka had an occasion to um, take that and criticize him. That is because your mas are not mas, but mad persons. Kaka said to Baidul. Your musts are mad. Then Baidul retorted, your musts are mad. You think after all these years, I cannot tell the difference between a must and a madman? Baidul was very proud of his work with Baba because Baba used Baidul for must work and Baba gave him certain um, qualities to know the must. So he says, after all these years, I worked with because he worked with Baba for so many years in must work. So, do you think that I don't know difference between must and a madman? What do you take me for? And that was Baidul. What do I take you for? You two are mad. Kaka said to him. What do I take you for? You two are mad. There was an intense argument between them. So Baba enjoyed it. Baba encouraged both by slyly winking at Baidul, indicating that he was right, and Kaka was wrong, and then winking at Kaka that he was right and Baidul was wrong. But the funniest part was that during this verbal battle, Baidul's dentures kept falling out. Both were arguing, and Baidul had artificial dentures, so they used to fall down, and he used to pick it up. He would put them back into his mouth and continue vilifying Kaka. Baba was highly amused by the scene, and when both began debating about which plane each each one's must war on, Baba could hardly contain himself. Baba enjoyed it, encouraged it, and then when they started your must, my must, and on which plane they were, my musts are all on the fifth and sixth planes, Baidul shouted. You have brought only insane walias. Is that so? Kaka hotly replied. My musts are on the sixth and seventh plane. But how can an uneducated jungly Irani like yourself recognize their worth? Baba was laughing and asked, but how do you know? How do you two know which plane your musts are on? Both kept quiet, and Baba observed dryly. It is a matter of great honor and privilege for me that both you Sadgurus are staying with me, as only a Sadguru can know which plane a must is on. So only Sadgurus know which is on which plane. So because you are saying that my must is on sixth plane, my must is on sixth and seventh, so you both have become Sadgurus, and how fortunate I am that both Sadgurus are in my mandali to work for me. So this ended Kaka and Baidul's argument. At least for that day, Baba really enjoyed their battles of wits, especially when Baidul's dentures would fall out and he would quickly plop them back into his mouth as not to lose the edge. So Baba used to enjoy every situation and teach them a lesson. So that was about Moss work which happened in 1946. Jai Baba.